Trigger warning. This document contains content that may be distressing to some readers. Please proceed with caution if you are sensitive to any of the following topics: emotional manipulation and gaslighting, infidelity and relationship breakdown, online harassment and defamation, mental health discussions, allegations of coercive behavior in romantical and sexual contexts, victim blaming and community division. This document is evidence-based and emotionally detailed, but may be emotionally intense or overwhelming for some. If you are in a vulnerable mental health state, you may wish to skip this or return at another time. Take care of yourself. Disclaimer. Some people's names on screenshots will be censored. The reason for this is because the individuals in question were asked if they were willing to have their name be part of this exposition, and although they wanted to help with the exposition itself, they were not comfortable with their name being out there, out of fear of repercussion from Shin's community. Please be understanding of this. From cheating on his wife with a viewer-turned moth to trying to bring down someone who's shown him unwavering affection for 5 straight months, this is an exposition document and video on Twitch TV/ShinSkull. First things first, hello there. My name's Skullomance. I'm a variety skeleton VTuber who streams frequently on Twitch. I've been streaming for more or less a year and a half, and in the last couple of weeks I've come across the most uncomfortable, stress-inducing situation I've been during my entire streaming career. As all streamers do, I've built a small tight-knit community that I effectively refer to as boners. It's a skeleton joke, don't worry too much about it. My community has all sorts of people in it, which naturally will include other streamers. Some of those streamers end up showing on my own streams for collabs, playing video games and whatnot. My criteria for choosing this is not all-inclusive. Sometimes, someone who I vibe with shows up, I taking liking to them, and we end up doing stuff together. There's not really a process to this, we either click or we don't click. Around August last year, when I finally quit my job to approach content creation full-time, I was approached by someone named Nora, who I'll refer to from now on as Nora. Nora presented themselves as an introvert, which is something I relate to being one myself. I remember her apologizing for not interacting as much as she wanted to, and I reassured her I did not have a problem with it, because I don't. I consider myself a high-functioning introvert. Would I rather stay at home and do nothing but play video games, watch anime, and share memes on Discord? Absolutely. But money doesn't fall from trees, video games aren't free, and sometimes PCs need repairs which aren't able to be paid with being a really cool guy. So I learned from a very young age that I have to train my social batteries as best as I can and get myself out there. I've worked in all sorts of jobs. This changes an introvert. You never really turn into an extrovert, but your attitude turns into a little bit of both worlds, and your social batteries go from powering a small light bulb to powering a small room. I've explained all this to Nora, and by her own words gave her hope to be able to bear more in her life. A couple of months in my community, Nora introduced me to her husband, ShinSkull, who I'll be referring from now on as Shin. Shin didn't actively engage with me in the beginning, and that was okay with me. Since I knew Nora was an introvert, I decided to give him more time and space. This is something I'm wary of as a high-functioning introvert, because as my level of energy has considerably increased, it's hard for me to gauge how much is too much when engaging with other people. Am I being too much and turning people away? Am I not being enough and turning people away? This leads me to often fluctuate between giving people space and sometimes seeing them pop up in my chat when I'm in a VC and telling them, get the fuck in here. I did my best to be accommodating to both Nora and Shin. One day, Shin reached out to me saying that he had a doubt and he wanted to ask me for my opinion on something after stream. I agreed, and after stream I got on a call with him. I won't say what was said in that call, it wasn't really anything important, just a matter of opinion on something of his. I gave him my input to the best extent that I can, pointed him in the direction of some people he could commission that I had positive experiences with, and that was that. Then Marvel Rivals came out. Saying Marvel Rivals had a small impact on the VTuber space would be the understatement of the year. It transformed it completely. People who never really spoke or interacted with one another were playing together, forming bonds, completely setting aside opinions, labels, tags. No longer was, oh, but I'm more of an X streamer and he's more of a Y streamer, a valid reason. Everyone was playing together. It was crazy. Every now and then I hop into people's streams on my own and just relax there. I lurk in a lot of streamers, but realistically I can only be talking in one chat. On stream, I noticed Shin was playing Marvel Rivals and dropped by. As a lot of times happens with streamers, the words "one time we need to get together and play this" were said, and since I was already in game, I immediately said for us to do a game, which we did and admittedly had a lot of fun together. I want to emphasize this next part by saying, with all the events that happened recently, I have no idea what Shin's actual personality is like. I'll be writing this from my at the time perspective. I now very much believe Shin has never shown his actual self to me or any of the people around him, and has very much manipulated the people around him with a fake persona. As you keep reading, you'll understand why I think this. During our Marvel Rivals game, I noticed Shin was relatively calm, with short bursts of energy, a personality that very much mirrors my own. We would go from having him explain to me the various comic book characters there, something I needed since I'm more of an anime guy, to yelling, "Come here, Dr. Sucky Sucky!" It was fun, and I couldn't help but notice how our personalities were alike. With all of this in mind, I naturally wanted to hang around more with him because, again, I really like being around people I share a vibe with, and at the time I felt like Shin was me in a different skin. The following days, me and Shin kept messaging each other. He'd ask me for advice on stuff, I asked him for a small clip for a Christmas edit, he asked me for an audio of me saying random shit, we'd send memes to each other, that kind of stuff. At the time, I was busy making my 24-hour Christmas edit, something I did for Christmas for my community where I edited 24 hours of footage and played it during Christmas time. For that edit, I asked some people to send me a clip of their thoughts on me. Shin was one of those people that sent me a clip, and both him and Nora were very caring with their words. They also sent me a custom-made Warhammer figure that both of them made of me as a Necron, along with some stickers Nora had of her OC and channel, and a Black Skull Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh figure Shin put in there because of some jokes we had made out of our shared love for Yu-Gi-Oh. All of these acts of niceness piled up, and I couldn't help but want to include them more on all I did, so I invited both for a New Year's collab. Since Nora was a very busy person and Shin shared a lot of similarities with me, over time this ended up with me talking and interacting with Shin more than I did with Nora. I will not lie, before Shin came around, I wasn't really familiar with the concept of love bombing. But now, after everything that's happened and hearing some of the people I spoke to mention that word and doing my research about it, I feel that's very much what Shin does. I'll leave it to the reader's interpretation, but if you're unfamiliar with the concept, what is love bombing? Love bombing is overwhelming someone with excessive attention, praise, and affection early in a relationship. It's often used to create fast emotional dependence and make the target feel uniquely valued or special. Why is it a bad thing? It manipulates trust and creates a false sense of security and intimacy. Once emotional control is gained, the affection may be withdrawn and replaced with manipulation, guilt, or abuse. Me and more people were a target of this by Shin, and even Nora to an extent. It's the main reason why I'm taking my time writing this and gathering as much evidence as I can, because I'm fully aware that a lot of people will see the document and video and won't even bother going through it. Because the reality is, when people came forward to me and told me everything Shin was doing behind my back, I didn't want to believe it, even though the proof was there. Screenshots, voice recordings, videos, it all sunk like a rock, and as tears were streaking through my face, I couldn't help but wish upon the comfort of it all being a misunderstanding. It was not. The person I gave nothing but my unwavering love and support for 5 months had done some heinous acts behind my back, and even actively attempted to get me banned or cancelled. After all of the events that transpired, looking back on all the gifts and words Shin and Nora sent my way early on, it all makes sense, even with Shin calling me as Oshi very early into our relationship. Love bombing is dangerous and weird, because you want there to be someone who feels this way towards you. As a content creator, it feels nice to have people admire what you do, especially if you put what you consider to be a relative amount of effort into what you do. It's something we never really get we're being a victim of, because we don't want to. But I apologize, I went a little bit ahead. You tell I have zero experience writing these? Hell, I hate that I have to. But I do have to. Because I promoted him and what he does for 5 consecutive months. It falls on me to take responsibility for the fact I promoted this terrible person as someone who's good, and show the world what I found out to be the truth about him. Going back to where I was, after that Marvel Rivals collab, Shin reached out to me to say, and I quote, "If I had the Oshi, I suppose it'd be you, so thank you for being an inspiration to me." As someone who made it to 1,000 in my first year by streaming practically every day, that was pleasant to hear. Like I've mentioned, it feels nice to have people admire you for what you do, to recognize what you've accomplished. By then, December, I had already established a goal for 2025. I would not focus at all on numbers or networking. I would focus on connecting more with the people I've already networked then. I decided this because there were a lot of people around my community I haven't interacted more with, and I felt like I was failing them. This led to me and Shin planning some Sea of Thieves collabs and farming some stuff together. The things we were farming in-game were hard grinds, so it naturally led us to getting close to one another. This all came down to one stream where we did a drunk stream. I legitimately forgot the reason, we had done a few. And in a toast, we did an Oath of Brotherhood, where we would treat each other as brothers from then on. I did it because I'm a big enjoyer of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is a romanticized version of Chinese history. In that story, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei swear each other as brothers by toasting under a peach blossom tree. Apparently it also happens in One Piece. I never really watched One Piece, which is how Shin perceived it. From that point onwards, we really proceeded as brothers. Our presences in each other's streams felt natural. We didn't really do collabs, or at least it wouldn't be painted as a collab. It would be more like, oh cool, Skull or Shin is here now. There were some misunderstandings, and sometimes where I stood my ground and how upset I was about something. And he would show up the next day, apologize, and reinforce how much I meant to him. There were some weird events and conversations that I never doubted much at the time, but now considering all that's happened, I look on them with a new light. Like this one time, he told me he was very upset, and when I asked him why, apparently this random user by the name of D or something came into his chat and called him the dollar store Skullomance. I called him immediately and pressed him for details because I do not condone people promoting me in other streamer chats, and that was a very weird statement considering my following isn't big enough for anyone to call another person the dollar store version of me. He doesn't know the name exactly. It wasn't this other dude called Deary that started shit on my Discord the day before. When showing Shin my entire follower list through a screen sharing session on Discord, it wasn't anyone there. None of our mutuals know of that person or saw the event happen. So some unknown user who doesn't follow me, a streamer with a measly 1.3k at the time, went into his chat and called him the dollar store version of me, even though only Shin himself remembers it. Make it make sense, I dare you. That situation was never really forgotten by me, but it wasn't the only one. On another stream, I was playing Mortuary Assistant, and some user showed up and asked me to raid Shin. I called him out on it, and his reasoning was, I'm not joking. Sorry, I'm autistic, I'm a friend of your brother, raid him and tell him I told you to raid him. I screenshotted it and messaged it to Shin, who was also streaming at the time. After stream, Shin said he really let him have it, and normally I let that shit be. But throughout the night, as we were hanging out with people, Shin kept talking about how he put him on blast, and went on him for like 10 minutes. His insistence on it piqued my curiosity, so I looked at the message I sent him for a time reference and went to check on his VOD. The entirety of Shin's 10 minutes of really letting him have it and putting him on blast were him saying, "Hey shithead, I know you're there, don't you ever do that again," and then he banned him. Which is fine, I wasn't really expecting Shin to go 10 minutes wailing in on him. Hell, he didn't even have to say anything, but why exaggerate afterwards and say that you went on him for like 10 minutes? There's also this person who Shin knows IRL, who Shin is convinced that he's mimicking every aspect of his life. He would reach out to me out of nowhere with various, let's say someone scenarios. Buddy, I don't know who you are, but for the love of everything, if you're reading or watching this, run. But none of the above come close to the travesty that was Shin's constant complaints about his chat. On a lot of collabs me and him had where we would share our chat, Shin would call me afterwards and say that every time we collab, people leave his chat and come into mine to speak. I don't know if Shin's OBS did not show him which message came from which chat. I assume it does, since he called me out every other time I accidentally read a message from his chat. So I have no idea why he would say something that is so far from the truth. Shin's chat has always been more interactive than mine. That is in part due to me having a redeem where if you have 100,000 channel points on my channel, I'll do a video edit of you. This naturally leads to a few people opening my stream and leaving it on the background so they can lurk for channel points, which I'm totally okay with. Even though it means my chat doesn't get that many people talking in it since most people are lurking, again, I'm okay with this. But why the absolute fuck is a man who is getting spammed in his chat guilt-tripping me on the amount of messages I'm getting in mine? To say that for every 10 chat messages Shin got, I would get like 3 would be being generous towards my chat. Anyone who was there and able to see chat icons can attest to this. Why call me after a stream to guilt trip me about my 3 chat messages? Why tell me that when we stream together, your viewer base jumps off your end and heads over to me? Why call me at all to mention this? Even if it were true, what was I expected to do? Oh hi X, you were in Shin chat, weren't you? Back in there you go, shoot again. At the time I buried all of this, because that was my brother. For sure, my brother did not have any ill thoughts or intentions towards me. After all, I offered him advice and support every time he would reach out because I loved and cared for him. I'm sure he wouldn't have any ill will towards me, right? Fast forward a little bit. One of our mutuals had a bit of a situation. They had cheated on their wife with another content creator. Shin reached out to me about this. After all, he and those 2 creators were closer to one another than I was. I had not even known there had been an affair had Shin not told it to me. And by that point, it was normal for Shin to reach out to me when he needed my perception on things, which I was okay with. Out of the 2 content creators having an affair, one of them I never interacted with. The other I had interacted with lightly in the past before I met Shin. It was towards this last one that Shin had conflicted feelings. Shin was apparently close enough to him to know he was part of an abusive marriage, so Shin's conflicted feelings came from him being strongly opposed to cheating but knowing of this creator's personal issues. I gave him my personal opinion, which I'll put out here for transparency's sake. I don't condone cheating, no matter the circumstances. If you're in an abusive relationship, my heart goes out to you. But the healthiest way forward is to seek support leaving that situation, not finding solace in someone else's arms. Healing starts with ending the harm, not escaping into something that can cause more pain. Shin told me he felt the same and he doesn't know if he'd ever be able to see that friend in the same light after what he did, which is both ironic and hilarious. Let's move on to the next topic, Shin and Nora's marriage. Around February, Shin came to me for advice about his marriage with Nora. They had apparently been fighting for months and had been considering if they should end things. He said he didn't feel love or passion coming from her, and I won't lie, I found this weird. I might not be currently in a good standing with Nora, more on this later, but there have been multiple instances where me and him were doing something and Nora would come in and show him affection in different ways. There was this one drunk stream we did where every time someone gifted a sub, we would take a shot. On that stream he got gifted 40 subs at once and naturally quickly got plastered. I think. He was never really straightforward with his tolerance. Nora came into the stream, saw him completely wasted and brought his favorite food home that day. That's love. And on one session where all 3 of us were in a video call, I told him this. He retorted that he had an issue with his mom where his mom would apparently berate him and then buy him things to make it up to him. So he didn't see what Nora did as affectionate because of his personal trauma. I told him that Nora is not his mother, and if he has past trauma that's affecting the way he's seeing current relationships, he should seek therapy to address this. Let's talk about that session where me, Shin and Nora were in a video call. Basically, it had become habit for both Shin and Nora to reach out to me every time there was stress in their marriage for advice. I did not mind this at the time, although in retrospect, I should have. That session came about because Nora and I were DMing each other, and Nora was talking about a situation that happened where she felt left out. There was this joke where Shin, Queenie, a viewer turned mod of Shin's, and Tiny Art Goblin, shared the same colors as the Powerpuff Girls. So Tiny made a drawing of the 3 of them as the Powerpuff Girls, and they all changed their profile pictures into it. Nora saw this and felt left out. This led to a bigger argument where Shin convinced Nora that she had invalidated his feelings for their whole relationship, that every time he'd be feeling down or off, she would make it about her, that she would get down and depressed, sob, and become a wreck that he had to comfort. She was genuinely convinced that she was a bad person to him, so I was doing my best to convince her that she was not. She just had trouble expressing herself, and that I used to be as such. I told her all that because I genuinely believed that she was not a bad person, and unlike Shin said, she showed him plenty of affection and care. Nora, if by any chance you're reading this, I might be an idiot for thinking this after all that's happened. You're not a bad person, but you are standing by and defending what a terrible person did. As this conversation was happening, Shin realized what we were talking about, so he immediately pushed Nora to be part of this conversation, telling her she was not telling me the entire truth. So all 3 of us got on a call for, by his own words, fuck it, this counts as marriage therapy now. But hey, no pressure. During that call, they had a back and forth about things they did throughout their relationship. Apparently, Shin gave Nora quite a few cheat scares, as in multiple instances where he thought about cheating on her but never did, and this was still weighing on her mind. What do I mean by cheat scares? Well, without going into much detail, there was this one situation where Shin was hanging out with a friend in a video game, and he realized that he was developing feelings for them. So he promptly woke up Nora and told her they needed to talk because he thought about cheating on her. This happened twice apparently. It's hard to play therapist. I had read some books on psychology and might know a thing or two, but actual therapy is different than some dude who's read a few books. Regardless of all, I did my best to stay as neutral as possible in that conversation. Because if they were entrusting something as important as a marriage upon my counseling, I couldn't just go, "Nah, you suck," and leave. I did my best to keep my composure, listen to both sides, and assure each understood the other's perspective. By the end of it, it genuinely seemed that some progress had been made, so all three of us went our way and proceeded as normal. Oh, I almost forgot. Prior to this, Nora and Shin had an episode where they almost broke up. Shin agreed to give Nora a month to prove herself before they actually broke up. During that month, Nora would supposedly show him how much she loved and cared for him. I'm mentioning this because after that therapy session, Nora kept messaging me asking me for advice in regards to how she could make him feel more loved. There was also the fact that sometimes Shin would apparently just isolate himself. I would give Nora advice like, "Put your hand on his shoulder and tell him, 'What's wrong? I noticed your mood changed. Is there anything I can do?'" I remember this particular advice because he apparently shook her off and recoiled from her touch, which hurt her. He also told her he didn't want her to call him any affectionate names or touch him. This was all weird to me at the time, but I did my best to help them both, because I cared for them both. But when Nora told me that, I braced myself to tell him that the month he gave her made no sense if he was imposing these restrictions. Put yourself in Nora's place for a second. You love someone. You want to be with that person. That person gives you 1 month to prove your love for them. You can't touch them, you can't call them any affectionate nicknames. Do you think you're getting a fair shot? That's exactly what I did, because eventually that month did run out, and Shin did break up with Nora, but nothing, and I mean nothing, could prepare me to the actual reason Shin broke up with Nora. On the 25th of April, Shin and Nora sent me a message each. Nora sent, "Skull, it's over, please take care of Shin for me." Shin sent, "It's over." This led to a roller coaster of events. I tried my best to reach out to both, but Nora understandably shut herself out, so I reached out to Shin more. I asked Shin what triggered all of this, and according to him, Nora wanted to talk and asked him questions that backed him into a corner. Afterwards, he told her that he recognized that she tried and told her that he knew it was on him for not feeling anything romantical towards her. I told him that she spoke to me during the trial month every now and then, asking for advice, what she could do and how to do things. I told him that she gave it a genuine try. I told him that she told me that he recoiled to her touch and that he asked to not be called anything romantical. He defended himself that the touching and romantical talking was a bit ago, before the therapy session. He said that the problem came down to him falling out of love, that she wanted to fix it, and that she tried, but he just never felt it again. I told him that he couldn't help but feel how he felt, but that giving her a month and depriving her of 2 major ways to show affection came off as him setting her up to fail after giving her a chance. Something I had not known at the time how right I was. In his own words, he didn't deprive her fully of ways of showing affection. According to him, Nora stopped showing any physical affection even after he told her she could touch him. Something Nora never mentioned through DMs, she always complained she couldn't do shit to him without him complaining. All she would do was be to go home, ignore him talking to her, and go lay down to sleep. He also said that he's been giving her chances for much longer than a month, that it's been 2 years. I told him about the day where she reached out to me because he was having an episode and he laid in bed not talking about it. She reached out to me to ask me for advice, and when she went over to touch him, he recoiled to her touch, which hurt her. I told him she felt like she was led on during that month, even though she was said she'd be given a chance. I told him, and I quote, "So I guess ask yourself, did she ever stood a chance, or were you gonna feel this way regardless of what she did because it's been 2 years?" He excused himself by saying that he recoils from touch whenever he's upset. Then he told me that she did have a chance, that he wanted to feel differently and didn't want that outcome. All statements that couldn't be further from the truth, because as it turns out, Shin had been having an affair that whole time. This month of trial was Shin's way to remove himself from a relationship with Nora and pin all of the blame on Nora. All that was discussed, all blame pointed around, all the advice thrown around was pointless because Shin had from the get-go never intended to stay with Nora. Of course at the time I didn't know any of that. I was focused on having Nora safe. So I asked Shin if there was anyone close to them that could go there and give Nora a hug. Shin said a mutual friend lived an hour away, and I happened to interact with that friend once or twice. So I reached out to them and offered to pay for transportation to ensure that Nora has someone with her. The friend in question said that they had intended to do that regardless, and sending them money would not be necessary. Shin called me in a panic and said that before she departed to her parents, Nora said in a menacing tone, "You should have hid your hunting knife." and he couldn't find it. Panic settled, and I did my very best to reach out to the above-mentioned friend and explain the situation. The friend kept me updated right up until Shin told me that she didn't have the knife. The friend in question sent me a message saying that Nora had arrived at her parents safely, and at 6:41 AM my time, I finally exhaled and let myself sleep. Take all of what I said above into account. Take what Shin said about that acquaintance of his who cheated on his wife with another content creator. Take what Shin said about that person. Take all Shin said about Nora. How Nora didn't feel affection towards him. How Nora invalidated how he felt. All the conversations me and him had about his marriage. The test month. The therapy call. Would you think amidst all this that Shin was cheating on his wife? Because I didn't. But he was. The next day, Shin sent the following message. I'm going to make an announcement about something. If afterwards you want to distance yourself from me and remove me from your life, I understand, and I'm sorry to not only have let you down as a friend, but as a brother. If this is goodbye, then thank you for all the good times. He then proceeded to make an announcement on his channel on how he cheated on his wife. This is the announcement in question. Hello everyone. I need to come clean about what has been going on in my personal life and behind closed doors. It's time I'm both honest with myself and all of you. For the past 2 years, me and Nora have been having marriage troubles. We've been fighting, we've been both physically distant and emotionally distant. I am not innocent in any of this. I am just as much to blame, if not more. As some of you have known, me and Nora were heading towards divorce. She wasn't there for me emotionally, and I wasn't there for her physically. We were not good. We have sought help through friends and couples therapy, but nothing seemed to help. This is only the tip of the iceberg, and what I'm about to admit is not only a breach of trust, but a scummy thing to do. During this time, I started to have an online affair. I cheated on Nora. For the longest time, I have felt emotionally abandoned. It felt nice to have attention and to be seen by someone, but it was wrong. It was wrong because I led this person on emotionally. Even though I didn't know I was doing it, I still did. I told them so many things to make them feel good and happy, but doing so I led them on. I'm scum. I am not a good person. Today I told Nora the whole truth. I didn't hide anything. If I lose her, I will understand. If you feel like you can no longer trust or be around me, I understand. I am a broken and fucked up man. If anyone here needs to distance themselves or tell me to fuck off or go die, I'll understand. I know telling this, admitting to this isn't enough. I'll be seeking help to fix myself, because very bluntly, I am a monster and I need to seek therapy to fix all the shit I have not only bottled up, but everything I have done. I won't ask for forgiveness nor expect understanding. I don't believe I am deserving of that, but I can't lie anymore. Not to myself, not to Nora, and not to any of you. I don't know if I'll come back to streaming. Maybe after this I shouldn't be allowed to. Those who I lose because of this, please know I have always deeply appreciated you and everything you have done for me. I'm sorry for letting you down and doing this. I'm just sorry. If this is goodbye, then thank you for everything. Let's break this announcement down. 1. The announcement focuses on his pain, not accountability. Shin throughout most of the announcement talks about his own emotional struggles, painting himself as broken and lost. This shifts attention away from the real issue, that he knowingly cheated, and makes whoever's reading feel sorry for him instead of holding him accountable. 2. Minimizing the cheating. By calling it an online affair and emphasizing how emotionally abandoned he felt, Shin tries to justify or soften what he did. He frames the affair as a result of feeling unseen, which makes it seem less like a betrayal and more like an accident or coping mechanism. 3. Shin's classical public self-flagellation for sympathy. This is something Shin very oftenly does in his streams when he's peddling for sympathy. Calling himself scum and a monster can seem like harsh honesty, but it's actually a manipulative tactic. By saying the worst things about himself, he hopes others will say, "No, you're not that bad," flipping the narrative from blame to sympathy. Besides all this, let's talk about how Shin completely leaves out Queenie, the person he cheated on Nora with. This omission is not an accident, it's a calculated choice. By not naming her, Shin avoids repercussions from Queenie's friends, who may reach out to her for clarification and react negatively. accountability for how he may have misled or emotionally harmed her. The selective honesty makes it seem like he's coming clean, but really he's controlling the story to limit the damage to himself, while leaving out key truths that matter to those affected. Let's talk about Queenie, a viewer turned mod of Shin's. Without the knowledge of anyone, both of them had been in a relationship for the past months. A relationship with some peculiar scenarios. Scenarios like Shin convincing Nora to send him money for DoorDash, only for him to get in a call with Queenie so both of them can decide on what Shin would get, mocking Nora in the process. Scenarios like Shin coming up with a pet nickname, Sweetheart. He would call Queenie in front of everyone, as his way to be affectionate towards her without the knowledge of anyone. Scenarios like Shin seeing Queenie in my chat this one time while he was live, berating her for doing so as such because she knew how that made him feel, and coercing her to send him a video of herself stripping to make up for doing so. But who is Queenie? Why does she approach a married man romantically? Why am I also putting the blame of this on Shin? To be as clear and transparent as possible about this, I took the liberty of reaching out to Queenie. Queenie, up until now, had not felt heard, so I took the liberty of getting in a call with her, so she could finally have her voice out. Hey.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Good.
Nervous.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Queenie. A lot of people listening probably do know me through Shin and through you. I was a viewer / turned moderator of Shin's.
You more or less know what's in the document. We've spoken about a lot of stuff. Tell me how you and Shin began having a relationship, how that came across, what happened, what was spoken.
First started on the end of February when he approached me and asked me to be a mod after a week of being in his chat because I quote unquote have more maturity than most people in his stream and I'm not a memer and I could handle being a mod. That kind of just went back and forth for a while. I was being just a mod and just checking in on him, hoping, making sure I was being supportive. Fast forward a little bit until I think I want to say the 21st of March, where he approached me and he was like, you seem off, is everything okay? Can I do anything to help you? And I said, it's okay. And he said, well, maybe I'll do something anyway. And he went, let me fix that, it's coming along, and then sent me a sketch which Tiny, as someone in this document is being mentioned, had drew of me. And it came out of nowhere. I was like, why? He said, I paid Tiny to do a piece for you since you've been having a rough time. I thought of offering to buy something for Mini Queenie, which was my child, but thought that would be strange, so I will get her some art. I was like, you didn't have to do anything. He was like, you're my mod, you're a great person, and most above all, you're my friend, so deal with it. And I was very appreciative of this, and I think this was the first instance where I saw that he was treating me a lot differently than other people and giving me a singular amount of attention that he was giving other people. Fast forward to the 23rd of March, it was said that someone called him the Dollar Store Skull.
The whole dollar store Skullomance situation that no one saw, including yourself, one of his mods. No one saw.
Bearing in mind, as people will know me from my time as being Shin's mod, there was barely ever a time that I was not in his chat, as a lot of people would see Shin and associate him with me and vice versa, because I was so interlinked and I was always there. So for someone like me to not even see that is a big thing, because I wasn't aware of that happened. I was like, I hope you're okay, just know if you ever need anything, the door's always open. He was like, honestly, I'm not okay, just insecurities. A few days ago, someone called me the Dollar Store Skull.
He told me on the very day he reached out to me and was like, hey, this happened, some person called Dear something. I don't know where he got that name, Dear something, from. A lot of my opinions about weird stuff that happened to him have come across to me just picturing that he made up some of these situations for attention, for victimizing himself. It's a personal opinion of mine. The viewers and readers can take it as it is. There has been a drama the previous day about this other user called Deary. There was a drama in my Discord. It was addressed. The next day, Shin said that Dear something came into his chat and called him the dollar store Skullomance, and it wasn't Deary. So I don't know if he made that whole situation up and named Dear something because that was a drama that was fresh on his mind, so it was the first name he came up with. I don't know what about it.
Going from that, he was saying about his insecurities, about how he's worried that people always see him as a cheap copy. He sees a lot of people in his chat asking where Skull is, or when Skull goes live, half of the people leave to go over to you. And I was there being reassuring, even to the point where I made art of both you and him to cheer both of you guys up. So the next day, he had bought me a game called Repo. He randomly got my Steam from my Discord and was like, there's a gift for you on Steam, and bought me Repo without me asking, without anything, just because he wanted to play a game with me. He also bought this for Tiny as well. And then on the same stream, he was not upset, but he had said that he didn't have any money for food, to which I DM'd him and said, did you fucking buy me Repo? And now you're telling me you don't have food. He said, don't worry about it. I said, I'm gonna hurt you, give me your PayPal.
So there's one person I don't really want to talk about, and I'm gonna erase their name in the edit, or cut out their name in the edit. But there is one thing that you told me that I think it's important for us to mention, because there is nothing in the document mentioning it yet. So that person is, and I want you to go ahead and tell the audience how sent Nora $130 on a day, because they had complained that they didn't have any food or any money to get food, so went ahead and sent them money, and then he had to sit on my stream and hear Shin beg people for DoorDash.
Yeah, so there was one instance that they would talk all the time about not having food. Shin would talk about not having food a lot. And obviously this individual had heard this on Shin's own stream.
You can say his name, I'm gonna cut it out.
Heard this on Shin's stream. And because he was close with Nora, then sent Nora $100, well, $130, to which Shin then told me he only saw $60 of. He said that Nora only gave him $60.
Okay, understandable. So Shin had $60
for grocery shopping, yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was on the call with him when he went grocery shopping. Literally on call as he went grocery shopping, so there was food in the house. To which then he went that night onto your stream and begged people basically for DoorDash. In the way that Shin always would, in his voice of, oh man, like, if anyone, like, I really wish someone would give me DoorDash right now. That would be the greatest thing ever. Like, if anyone can give me DoorDash right now.
Hold on, I actually got the clip.
Chicken nuggets.
Honestly, legitimately, I would love some DoorDash. I will literally take DoorDash right now from anyone who wants to give me food. I am starving. I haven't eaten today.
Same. I'll send you the money on PayPal.
Send me food, actually.
Yeah.
Why do I have DMs?
You have a DM from me.
I have a DM from you
me.
and List. Why are you DMing me, List? You're American. You can just get it.
Fucking send me your PayPal so I can send you money for food.
Hey, I was gonna send him money for food.
Damn. You know what? I'll just send you both my PayPal. Have fun. First one to send me money.
Oi.
Hey, hold on. I'm getting free food here. Hold on.
I will literally take DoorDash out of anyone who wants to give me. I will literally take DoorDash from anyone. I am starving right now. Even though he had food.
That day, yeah, because he went grocery shopping and he even said, oh, I was under budget as well. It was great. So he literally got food that day.
And let me remind you all that this happened on my stream. He went into another content creator stream to ask for food. Alrighty,
But carrying on from that, I said, thank you for the games. It was fun. Enjoy D&D. And he was like, thank you, friend. He was like, for a long time, I had problems and being a bitch and meeting the people. And part of that comes down to those who have met that have cheered me up. And he name dropped Skull, Digi, and me. So he put me in that category of being as close with him as you and Digi.
considering what we spoke about before, would you say that he love bombed you? You know, all the affections, all the gift, making you a mod after a week, gifting you art, video games, putting you on the same level as a friendship as someone he met like 3 to 4 months ago. Would you say that you felt love bombed?
I genuinely do, because when he was talking about, like, saying his name, for example, he's like, oh, I trust you enough, like, you're a good friend, I trust you now, like, you're someone I can actually come and speak to, you're a trusting person. It made me feel special, like I was the special mod. And he was always talking about how his other mods, two in particular, including his head mod, which was his wife, wasn't doing their job. And how he would praise me for being a really good mod and a really good friend.
By the head mod, his wife, Queenie, is referring to Nora, if that's not painstakingly obvious.
He had also on stream pushed me to become affiliate and start me to get into streaming. He would constantly do this under the pretense of, I'm a good guy, I'm going to show love to the people I care about, or I'm going to show support because that's who I am. And then we got onto the discussion, I think this is like the 26th, where there was one mention of he really wanted to be a father one day. He was like, maybe one day if I can get lucky. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And that's when he brought up, himself first brought up, him and Nora don't really do anything, and there's a lack of intimacy. I was like, I won't ask about details, but whenever it happens, I'm sure you'll be a great dad.
Let me ask you something. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me just ask you something. So obviously, with all of that's been discussed, he put a lot on you very early on. I'm just wanting to ask you, because telling someone or telling another woman that you and your wife haven't been intimate for a while is something that's like normal when you've met someone after a certain period of time, as in a big period of time, and you have like a really deep level of confidence with that person. How long has you known him by the time that he said that he wasn't being intimate with his wife anymore? A month. Okay, you can keep going. Sorry for the intermission.
No, it's fine. I was like, whenever it happens, you'll be a great dad. He said, there isn't much details on it, but maybe just feels like I won't be, but oh well, I guess. I was like, you don't think it'll happen, like having a kid, or the act of making one, with a laughing face, trying to make it into a joke, because I did feel uncomfortable, but I was trying to still be a supportive friend. He went, honestly, no, I don't think it will. It's a sensitive topic. Nora and I just don't do anything anymore. I said, I'm sorry for touching on a sensitive topic. He goes, you didn't. I'm like, as someone that was in a long distance relationship for 2 years, it's hard, so I get it. At this point, I had just got out of a 2-year long distance relationship that ended kind of amicably, but with also a lot of pain. So I was relating to him. To which he put, yeah, it is. The love is there, which is good, and I'm thankful for it. I said, I got you, dude. Just know that you can talk to me if you ever want to vent or air out anything. You can trust me. He was like, I may take you up on that. To then, later that day, he was streaming the Borderlands, and I could tell he was off. And he wasn't feeling up to it. So I messaged him, and I was like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah. Fast forward, later on that same stream, I had been in the stream and I was talking with his viewers, and sometimes the conversations turn spicy, but they're not. You know, it's just like we talk, like they all joke around, like you do.
Yeah, it's the whole streamer. It's the whole streamer conundrum where I tell my mods, I'm gonna suck you off, but obviously none of that's gonna be honest.
Okay,
But
yeah.
the other mods, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just me being sultry because I'm sultry. I will never say anything that's towards anyone but my wife and actually mean it. It's more the streamers being sultry and being flirty and putting adult jokes over there because we're all adults in here.
Yeah. So this was not even relating to Shin at all. It was just we were in the conversation talking about cosplay. I had mentioned I've done a Ghostface cosplay before in the chat, and he had seen my message because he likes to read every single message. And I mentioned that I was like, oh yeah, I want to post one on Twitter, but I don't know if I can post the not safe for work one. And I was asking another fellow viewer, to which he said, wait, there's a safe for work one? That means there's not a safe for work one? And I was like, yes. He then said in stream, about 2 minutes later, after a lot of, okay, now I can't get something out of my head.
Okay.
To which I saw that as, why are you thinking about that? Obviously, he was like, may I ask what the photo is, the safer work one? To which I sent him one. It was just me in a Ghostface cosplay. Just Ghostface mask. It was very, very demure and classy. Nothing was shown. He put, I take it that's the safer work one, and I was like, yes. To which he replied, damn, now I can't get the other one out of my head. I went, okay. He was like, how could you do this to me? Now I'm going to be thinking of it. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, I'm a curious person, so when you tell me something, I'm curious about it. I'm like, is it worse if I say I have 3 versions as a joke? Because I was like, it was funny to... At the time, it was funny for me to mess with him.
Did all of this happen on stream?
All of this happened on the stream. I know Nora wasn't there.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was funny for me to mess with him because I would do that all the time. Like in stream, I would say something and he would be like, what do you mean? And he would get very hyperactive with it. Like, a lot of other people would do that because that was just his personality. And he was like, okay, now you're making me want to see. I was like, why would you want to see? And he said, because you made me curious, so now I'm curious, I might stop thinking about it. He went, I can't, it's hard for me not to, you monster. I went, haha, hard, lol. He was like, how could you do this to me? I was like, do what? He was like, you put it in my head that there now that I'm curious for them. I'm like, you're struggling, aren't you? He was like, I'm very much so. And then I was just joking around with him, but it wasn't anything. I'm like, don't know why you keep thinking about it. He went, you put it there, now it's there, it's your damn fault, and yes you would, all you do is tease. I was like, I wouldn't do anything. But yeah, he was like, I was like, what were you expecting? He was like, I don't know. I was like, why would you think about that? I thought he would view me like a sister, so he'd be grossed out by it. He was like, I don't have an answer, I just saw it and my brain went wild and I got flustered and I was blushing. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but speeding forwards a little bit, which of you approached each other first with romantical feelings, and how did y'all do it?
Shin. He called me pretty because he'd seen my face. And then he went back, he was like, I'm still trying to think about how I'm feeling, and my chest feels, my heart's racing and all of this, and he was like, I don't know if I have feelings for you. I think I might have feelings for you. And I was like, oh, have you felt like this for a while? And he was like, no, I've just felt about it. Now I didn't know whether this was, I didn't know whether it's like me caring for you or if it's something romantic. I was like, oh.
And how long had you known each other before he admitted these feelings towards you?
A month. Still. This is all within the same week. So it was a lot.
You didn't get love bombed. You got love nuked.
Yeah.
So eventually, this isn't any surprise, eventually you did reciprocate his feelings. Y'all began having something. Could you describe how was it being a relationship in the shadows with Shin? How would you guys like progress towards everyone around you, towards Nora, Shin's wife? How would you guys go on about?
So there were, when it was just us together, it was good because we had that. I thought it was something real, and that's how he portrayed it to me. Like, it was nice to feel wanted, and in a sort of like weird way, I felt like I had something special. Like I had what nobody else had, and he made me feel wanted, and he made me feel special, and he made me feel like I was the only person. But in return to that, I felt very isolated because I couldn't speak to anybody about it. I had to watch as he would pretend everything's okay. I would also feel a certain type of way when he brought Tiny, as we say, into a conversation, or I would see the pattern forming again with what he did with me and how he was interacting with Tiny. And then it felt like there was a massive pitting against each other between me and her, to the point where it meant I wasn't getting close with her. And finding out now that he had gone to Tiny and orchestrated her to come and speak to me, it felt very like I was put in a corner and a bubble, and that's where I should stay, because I was of use to him, because I was giving him that emotional support and that love that he apparently was lacking from his wife. He would talk about his wife constantly in a negative light.
Could you give some examples, some that you remember? I know that it's been a while. But
Yeah.
you could but you could like remember the more specific, the better.
Yeah. So he had talked about wanting to be a father to my child, and all he had wanted was to be a father. He wanted to have a child with me at one point, which he had said, and I think he went back and he was like, well, it's not like Nora, because we had a pregnancy scare and she got rid of it, and I think ever since then I've resented her, and that's when I think I fell out of love with her. He had mentioned I had wanted to leave Nora even before I fell in love with you. He said there was nothing in it for him, there was nothing there. He would refer to her as his soon-to-be bitch of an ex-wife, and the only reason he was giving her a month trial was so he needed to find a job or to get enough money on streaming so he could be financially stable and not have to rely on her, because all she's good for is giving him money at the moment.
So basically, Nora was a wallet to him.
Yeah.
And the only
It was the same
reason
with
why he
Tiny
hadn't...
as well.
Okay, and sorry, what was that?
It was the same with Tiny as well. Like, he saw Tiny as free art,
Okay.
and that's how he described it to me.
Did he actually mention Tiny as free art and nothing else?
He was like, the reason he started saying that Tiny was like a sister to him is because of my insecurities. He was like, if I call her my sister, would that make you feel better? I might do what you want. He was like, because I only see her as a mod that gives me free art.
Okay, so because you started seeing Tiny with or him having the same patterns towards Tiny as he had towards you, you began feeling a little bit jealous. And from those feelings, Shin began calling Tiny a sister to reassure you that there was nothing there.
Yes.
Okay, understand. And he saw Tiny as nothing but free art.
He said, oh, how crazy is this? Because I've helped Tiny so much with commissions and getting people to give her commissions. She said that I'm now owed free art for life, so I can get free art now. And he said, I made a joke with Tiny that one of my free arts, first things of free arts is to put your OC Queenie in a bikini.
He had Tiny did mention that one of the first things he reached out to her about was a not safe for work of you, which Tiny found weird at the time, but didn't really question it that much. Because the thing about love bombing, I mentioned this in depth earlier on the video/document. The thing about love bombing is that you want someone like that to exist and not have any ulterior motives. So what you end up doing is ignore a lot of the red flags that you see. You convince yourself, you do a song and dance in your head. Oh, it's not that bad. Surely he didn't mean anything by this. So you end up doing this fucking mental dance with yourself. But after things calm down and you look back on it and you have like no affiliation, because that's where all of us are standing right now. We have no more affiliation towards him. So we're looking at stuff that we did in the past and we ignored and everything. And it's hard for us not to look at it because we see the very blatant red flags that we ignored. And we're like, gosh, I was a fucking idiot. What the fuck is wrong with me? How did I miss this? It's complicated.
Oh, absolutely. I think during the entire time, I was in two minds because I knew it was wrong. I was guilty and I was remorseful the entire time. But I still had that love and I still had that like weird hold that I felt like he needed me and I needed him, because I feel like he made it so he relied on me and it was nice to be relied upon. That I could be the one to help him and I could be the one to give him that love and support. Because every time I would try and leave, and to preference, I had tried to leave about 5 times within a month. Because I felt so guilty, he would then turn around, cry, ring me up, say he loved me, love bomb me some more, say he was having a panic attack. The last time he did it, he said he went to hospital.
Yeah, that was thrown around a little bit. He told you that he went into a hospital. He told Tiny that he made an attempt on his life. You know who he didn't tell anyone anything?
You.
Me. But you know what he did? Apparently, 2 days later or something, I was playing Crime Scene Simulator. And I don't remember what happened during that stream. It was a long time ago. But apparently, there was this body of this person who ended their subscription to Lifeblood. Let's put it that way. And I made some comments on it that made him resent me because he had made an attempt on his life. He reached out to Tiny and he said that I was being insensitive because I made those comments when not even 2 days ago he has been in a hospital over it. Guess who he didn't tell jack shit to? Me? I had no idea he had been to the hospital, much less did I have an idea that he actually made an attempt on his life.
To my knowledge, he didn't.
Sorry, he didn't what?
To my knowledge, and I was in the car with him. Well, on the phone, in the car.
Mm-hmm.
He went to hospital because he thought he was having a heart attack. Not because he was making an attempt on his life. He went to go and get meds, or he went to the hospital so they could keep him there because he was worried he was going to make an attempt. Because he started getting a panic attack because I said I was leaving. And he said it was a heart attack.
He told to you that he was having an anxiety attack and they were keeping him in the hospital out of fear of making an attempt. And he told Tiny that he was in the hospital for making an attempt. And he didn't tell me jack shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that honestly fits a lot of his pattern. Everyone has a different story, everyone saw a different Shin.
Yeah. Going through this, it was obviously isolating. I had tried to leave. Even before anything happened, he asked me what I should do, what he should do with Nora. To which I quote, let me get that message up, and I quote, I want to be selfish and say don't even bother and leave her, but I can't do that because I'm not a monster, and if there's a chance that you and Nora can be happy without going through all the bullshit of divorce, I would happily step back.
You told that to him?
On the 30th of March, to which he replied, I just realized how I feel, please don't do this, I love you.
You mentioned earlier that you weren't allowed to be other people's friends. I know for a fact that he gate-kept you from my streams, like you so well proved to me. Can you go into detail on the way he spoke to you to stay away from my streams, and what other people he kept you away from?
So, with you, if he saw me in your stream, he'd be like, oh, you're in Skull's chat, so I'll leave you alone. And he would ignore me, or he'd be like, oh no, I don't want to. He was like, you're in Skull's, you're busy, sorry, I'll just go. I feel, there was one time, yeah, I'm just getting the message up.
You're good, take your time. If you need to wait a little bit, go for it.
He was like, just go hang out with everyone. I was like, I want to be there for you. Don't shut me out. He was like, you're busy. I can see you're busy. I see everything. I just can't do this. I'm like, do you want me to leave Skull's stream? It was like, I said, you tell me you need to call. I'd leave anything I was in and answer. Like, stop saying I'm busy. I don't give a fuck if I'm in anyone's chat. You want me to get out of it? It's fine. To which he was like, you keep telling me that, but seeing you still in there talking just makes it feel like it's just words. It feels like you're busy and it feels like you're a bother. So I get it. I'm broken. It's fine. People just like me drunk, so maybe I'll just do more of that. I was like, I started to drink when Skull kind of pushed me away, and I'm waiting for you, but you're in there.
What does he mean by when Skull kind of pushed me away? When did this happen?
I don't, I think this was when he had a fight with Nora. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I got into a fight tonight and I let Skull know about the fight, and I got back from him, as you would call it, freezed out. It just felt like I shouldn't open up. I was like, what was the fight about, and what do you mean Skull froze you out? Maybe it was because he was streaming, which all these times I was trying to be like, keep him a level head. He said it was about how she spent 2 years playing the victim and everything, and making it about her shoving my feelings down like they didn't matter, and how I felt like it was unfair. I reached out to Skull about it, gave me an answer that was more or less felt like an oh well, then went to Mount Farm with Tony. So I've been on my own thinking about it over if I should just keep myself closed off anymore. Then I saw you online, messaged you, but then looked up and saw you were in Skull's chat, so I deleted my response and have been trying to let you go back, so I'ma shut up now.
So basically, he messaged me about something with Nora when I was streaming. I gave him a somewhat vague message because I was streaming, and he took that as me throwing him out.
Yeah, that same day, he messaged me and was like, I said, I stayed in your stream for most of the day, even while I was unwell, to be there for you and to support you. He went, you did do that. I guess I'm scared you'll just be like one day, oh, Shin is boring, I like Skull. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. I was like, I'm not going to do that, you're my partner. He was like, you won't, you promise? I said, I promise. He goes, that's good, because I'm scared of that. There was all them times. Talking about other streamers, there was another streamer that I won't name.
You can name. I can, if he wants to just speak openly, I can just remove the name when I'm editing. You don't need to hold yourself back. That's what the editor's for. Give me work.
No,
give me work, damn it. You're already doing a lot by being here and being open about it.
No, okay. So, there is a streamer called, and in the document you will see he is the one that had also had marital problems, and Shin had a problem with him and had disclosed his problem for him, with the irony of that. Shin had come to me and told me he did not want me hanging around him because he was quote-unquote quite predatory with his female viewers, which I thought was very weird because all of the interactions I had with this individual was just nice and polite.
So while Shin was reaching out to me about that streamer that had an affair, he was reaching out to you, and to me he was painting him as a victim because he was in an abusive marriage. To you, he was saying that he was predatory.
Yes.
God damn it. Different people knew different Shins once again.
Yeah, and because of, as you'll see in the document, Shin had refers to me as sweetheart in his streams to show affection without showing affection.
And whose idea was this?
Shin's.
How did he bring this across to you? Did he just say, hey, let's have like a pet nickname that no one will know will be our special way to interact with one another or lovingly interact with one another, and let's not tell anyone about it?
No, it more or less was a natural thing because he calls a lot of people sweetheart, but then he stopped and just primarily called me sweetheart, and in a call privately he was like, oh, have you not noticed how I've started just calling you sweetheart now? I guess that will be our thing, so how I can show you that I love you even though I can't actually say it on stream or say it in person.
Were you aware that Nora had an argument with him? Because she did in fact notice this, and she did in fact reach out to him about this, about how he was calling you sweetheart, and that she brought it up to him, and she said that she felt betrayed by this, and that she felt that he was showing a lot of affection towards you that he wasn't showing towards her. Did Nora or did Shin tell you that Nora told him about any of this? Because Nora told me, and Nora asked me if she was in the wrong and sent me DMs of the screenshots of her telling Shin that he was calling you affectionate nicknames while he didn't even allow her to call him by affectionate nicknames.
So he told me once that Nora got upset when he had said ara ara on stream. I only found out afterwards that she had a problem with him calling me sweetheart.
By afterwards?
When this is all ended. He would always tell me when she would get upset and he would have an argument with her. Yeah, so there would be a time, he went, Nora got pissed when I did the Ara. I was like, oh, why? And he literally went, Nora got pissed when I did the Ara. Did I upset you when I did it? I was like, why did she get pissed? And no, I didn't. But because before that, he did a little speech about how he was going to put his heart into it and he was going to dedicate it. He was thinking about one person. I was like, it was just you saying Ara Ara. It's not like you're asking someone to fuck. You're asking to fuck someone or say you love them. And I was like, and you said you put your heart into it and said you were thinking about one person. He went, yeah, you. And he did this on stream. And I was like, you're being very not subtle about this, you know. And he was like, I know. I was like, okay. But yeah, I knew all about this. But going back to that. With this particular streamer, with this nickname, this streamer didn't know anything about it. So I went in there and he was like, hey, Queenie, how are you, sweetheart? And all of that. And he was like, have you heard Queenie's voice? Her voice is amazing because I'm British and people fawn over me because I'm British. And Shin was there and he had messaged me going, I don't fucking like how is calling you sweetheart. That's my thing.
And did he also bar you from showing up on streams after that, like he did to mine?
Not barring me, but he was like, he didn't like it. So when I said, okay, do you want me to not be around them? And he didn't say anything. And then a few days later, I'd be like, oh, I was just in stream. And he was like, I thought you said you weren't going to be in there anymore. There was one time when everyone was in the Discord, his Discord server. You were in there, was in there. Tiny was in there. He felt like he was being talked over, and that was one of his biggest gripes, when he felt like he was being talked over, because that meant he was not the center of attention.
Even though he would talk over people all the goddamn time.
And then he would message me really angry about it, and I would be there to support him, and just it made me feel like I shouldn't be in there. He went, I just wanted to spend time with you and I'm not okay with being around with you in a voice chat. I'm like, you're not okay with being around me. He's not saying anything. He's just talking about WoW and then wrestling. And he went, you told me today to tell you what I need. I told you I want you. And I'm like, but you're acting like I've done something wrong. And he was like, I'm just going to leave you alone. I was like, Skull wants you to come back. He just said so. If I randomly leave, it will cause more questions, won't it? He went, then do as you want. I told you what I need. I don't want to join in a call to be talked over, ignored. It's my server, and that kind of stuff makes me feel not welcome in my own server. I can't even fucking help you figure out something without Skull speaking up over you. I just need to be around you. But if you don't want to leave, then there's nothing I can do.
So you left.
And yeah.
Understandably so.
Because I was very upset. Like, he made me feel very upset, and then I was like, I'm trying to be there for you, and then he was like, I can't even speak right now because I'm so panicky. It got to a point where I was being gatekept myself, where you would only see me if I was around Shin, if I was in Shin's stream. And if you saw me in anybody else's chat, it'd be for only a split few seconds, because my entire life at one point was wake up, message Shin, talk to Shin before he streamed, be on
during
Shin's
his stream,
get off. He would make an excuse to go outside and call me for an hour. It would be everything to do with that, whilst also dealing with all of that. And then my own insecurities were getting. I would also have to look after my child, be my own adult, whilst also wanting to stream myself, which I kind of lacked on. But then I felt like I had to take a step back to support him. In the same breath, though. And if I'm being 100% honest, and you can put this in the document,
go for it.
a lot of people like to say that I was a victim. And in some aspects I was. Because I was a victim to his lies and his manipulation. But I did also go along with it because I thought it was real. And I'm not gonna hold my hands up and say that he literally controlled me to the point that I didn't have my own mind. I was manipulated into not leaving, but I also should have left the first time. I'm not perfect. I made a mistake. And for Nora, I am sorry. That is going to be the one thing that I'm going to say is I am sorry. I never went out to hurt somebody. I was being selfish for a moment, and then I got brought into something that was way beyond my comprehension, and I kind of got lost along the translation. But I was very quick to be scapegoated, and I was very quick to be thrown under the bus when it suited, when I was not needed anymore.
There's something about that I want to talk to you. I've kinda mentioned it on the document. I've kinda mentioned it with Tiny, and Tiny says that she's more than willing to vouch for me. I have said early when this began happening that I would be here for everyone. That I wanted to make things right for everyone. Every single person involved in this situation. Because if I was going to stand by Shin, I wanted to make sure that no one was singled out and no one was accused of something. The reason why I'm saying this is because this is going to be mentioned further in the video and in the document, but Nora did go around and to try and get Queenie banned, because Nora is dead set on having all of the blame put on Queenie. And Nora fought tooth and nail for me to not ban Shin, and then she fought tooth and nail for me to ban Queenie. There were 3 instances where Nora begged me to ban you. One of them was very early on, when she said that she didn't feel safe on my community because you were there and I hadn't banned you. The other one was when the whole Twitter drama happened, and she called me saying that they were getting death threats, which was pathetic. None of the messages that was in the Twitter thread was remotely close to a death threat. The closest they had to a death threat was the fact that the account said that they were from whenever Shin applied for a job, which I'm not even sure if he did get the job, but he didn't tell anyone where he was gonna get that job, or at least he didn't tell me where he was getting that job. Did he tell you?
I didn't even know. I just knew that it was an hour away.
Okay, yeah. Pretty much what he told anyone, which can be fucking anything in America. It's fucking America. And I asked her when that happened, okay, Nora, I wasn't gonna ban you. I just want to make this clear. I never intended to ban you, and I was never gonna ban you. I told you early on, and you can confirm or deny this, that I wanted you to be okay amidst all this as well, and I didn't want you left out.
No, I know. I can vouch for that. Like, on the day that it all kicked off, obviously you were there for Shin. This is before you found out anything that he had said about you. So obviously, like you said, you were being a brother. And I can commend you for that, because that is something that you've always stood by. You had reached out to me before on Twitter, and Shin obviously wasn't a fan of that. But you, I will say that when it all happened, and he made that announcement, and all of that kicked off, I was at a very low place. More for the fact of, I saw the amount of support he was getting, and because nobody knew it was me, I had nobody. And I know you felt very guilty about that, and I do not blame you for a second.
No, but I did. But I did on that day, and I want this to be very clear on the video. Before I knew that Shin said and did all of what he did behind my back, on the first day that Shin came forward with the announcement, because I was his brother, I did put him above you on the first day, and I did DM you, and I did send messages, and I did pop in a call for like 20 minutes with you, but I did prioritize Shin, and now I regret it, and I want this to be on video. I did wrong. Against all of what I said, that I wanted everyone to be nice, I did ignore you a little bit on the first day.
Which I completely understand. I hold no resentment towards you.
But it's still the
I hold no
case.
resentment to anybody. And this is what I've always said, and you know me well enough now to know that I have been very, very quiet about all of this until this moment, until this video. I have not said my piece. I have not gone into any chat to talk about it. Anyone that knows about the situation or knows it's me, it's because they've DM'd me and I've just told them the truth. I have not gone out of my way to say anything, because what Shin did was he took away the right for his viewers and the people that matter to him, or the people that support him. He took away that right for them to make their own valid decisions with the entire truth possible, because he gave them a distorted truth. The only reason I'm talking now is so that everybody can make their own decision. I don't care if you pick sides.
I'll care if you pick sides. I'm gonna say it right now. If anyone from my community fucking shows up on twitch.tv/ShinSkull after I put this video and document out, your only valid excuse is that you missed it by one way or another. If you're still there and you've seen the document, get the fuck out and follow me, leave the Discord, fuck out. Go be a rat with your rat buddy.
Not laughing at that, but the only reason I'm speaking is not to witch hunt, and it's not to make anybody feel worse than they already do, or to make anybody's life worse. It's just so people get the truth, so they can make their own decisions. Because what I don't agree with is somebody who manipulates other people or cheat and then monetize from that and think they get away with it.
Which is what he's doing, and what he's getting away with it. And all of that conversation about him considering not streaming anymore because he kept hurting people led to nothing, because here he is, still streaming, getting sponsorships, and even worse, collabing with people he talked trash about and called a predator.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Queenie, is there anything else you want to close with?
Like I said, if you want to take a side, take a side. But at the end of the day, I'm still me, and I'm going to be a better person, because I will never put anybody through that again, let alone myself. Sometimes you got to look at yourself and be like, the man you're supporting, do you trust him not to make that decision again? Or are you just mindly following like a herd? That's your choice. But
alrighty. To end this, leaning on what I said when that I wanted to make things right for everyone and you involved, I will come ahead and say this. When I reached out to you, because I need to address this considering what Nora said, when I reached out to you and offered you to be a mod in my channel, my intention was to keep myself or hold myself to what I told you. I know that you felt left out after what happened. I know that you felt like you lost something when you were promptly kicked out of that community. So the reason why I invited you to be a mod was twofold. Well, it was threefold. One of them was pure spite. I'm not even gonna hide it. Fuck you, Shin. But the second reason was I needed mods. But the third and most important reason is when you were kicked out of his community, you were a mod there. I did everything to make sure that you weren't left out. Not a single person cared about it. Not a single person gave a shit. It felt like I was fighting an uphill battle that no one wanted to fight with me. So, with the intention of keeping on my promise that everything would come back to normal, I made you a mod. You were his mod, you were kicked out, now you're my mod. It's not the same community, but I hope that you're able to have as much fun on this community, if not more.
Oh, 100%.
Thank you very much thank you very much for
You're
being a part
fine.
of this, Queenie.
Thank you. Yeah. I was gonna stay in the shadow. I was gonna be the mysterious person, but I'm tired of hiding because I shouldn't have to.
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah.
fair. Alright, thank you for dropping by. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
As you can see, Shin clearly manipulated Queenie by showing interest in being a father to her child and gatekeeping her from having connections with other people besides him. Queenie is fully aware that she is not in the right of this situation and has expressed that she wanted to apologize to Nora multiple times, even if it meant that Nora would just yell at her for an hour. I've relayed this to Nora, but Nora is dead set on putting the blame on Queenie. All of the blame on Queenie. When I told Nora that Queenie regrets what she did and she hates herself for making her feel this way, her word by word was, "No, she doesn't regret it. I don't believe that for a hot fucking second." I'm aware Nora's a victim in all of this, but to excuse all Shin did because an unmarried single mother approached him is disingenuous. Shin said none of them advanced first. This is a straight lie and with definitive proof as shown by Queenie by the DMs she had with her that Shin stated he had began developing feelings for her. I'm unaware if Shin told Nora a different story. To me, he said none of them advanced first, which is a blatant lie. Even if Shin lied to Nora and told her the same he told me, I'm unsure why Nora is insisting on blaming Queenie alone. Queenie is a single mother, Shin is a married man. Morally speaking, one made vows and one just wants what's best for herself and her child. After Shin's announcement, I reached out to him and said I would not abandon him. Please bear with me on this. At the time I did not know half of what I know now. Let me ask you, what is a brother to you? Is it someone who leaves you the moment things get rough? Is it someone who jumps ship immediately after you fuck up once? Is it someone when you're at your absolute worst, even by your own actions, spits on you, calls you a disgrace and abandons you? Because to me, a brother is someone who will stick by you through all that. Someone who will help you make things right. Someone who is there for you when you need most. When Shin reached out to me about the announcement and I read through all of it, my decision was to be a brother. So I told him exactly that. I told him I would not be leaving him. I told him what he did wasn't right, but if anything, now more than ever, it would be when he'd have the need for a brother. And that's exactly what I did. I made an announcement on my server informing my community I would not be abandoning my brother, and that I would stand with him and help him make things right with all involved. All involved. I made it clear in the beginning how my intentions were for everyone to be supported through this, and how I'd be proceeding forward ensuring no one would be left out. I told this to Shin. I told this to Nora. I told this to Queenie. Hell, I even told it to Tiny. Well, technically she was in a call with Shin when I told him. Right after I made my announcement, some mutuals of ours came forward and DM'd me. The feeling of the messages was near unanimous. Skull, you're a cool guy, but we need to talk about what Shin's done behind your back. Pretty much. Shin gatekept me as much as he could, and the tactics he would employ to do as such were downright disgusting. While I did my best to help and support him through his streaming career, his marriage, his inner struggles and doubts, he did the complete opposite, all through a facade of smiles, laughter, and what would I do without yous. He reached out to people who came to my stream when he was live, when we weren't collabing, and guilt-tripped them about hanging around my chat, telling them they were only doing it because I was a bigger streamer, so they were replacing him with me, because of my numbers. He would also reach out to people who were playing video games with me off-stream and do the exact same thing. Without hesitation, I introduced him to my friend group, my circle, my mods, and all throughout he did his best to keep as many people away from me. Like some sick game where I would be a trophy that only he could have. Naturally, when those DMs started coming around, the first people who reached out to me got some resistance. I apologize to every single one of you. You are right. This became apparent the more DMs I received. the more screenshots I received. Audios, videos, the works. It also didn't help that in his own way, Shin told me all of this. I already mentioned how he would guilt trip me about people leaving his chat and come to mine, even though that wasn't the case. But he would also vent out how it upset him that I was playing video games with other people and he felt left out. He did as such when I signed up for the North American servers of World of Warcraft, and Tiny joined me because I told her it would be awesome for us to start from scratch and farm mounts and transmogs together. I had not known at the time, but the guilt tripping he did to me about feeling left out, he did it to Tiny as well, ultimately making him join us in World of Warcraft. Make no mistake though, he would still leave himself out whenever we would ask him to come with us, only to guilt trip both of us that we were leaving him out. This would culminate in a day where me and Tiny quite literally stopped all we were doing and told him to choose a transmog he wanted and a mount he wanted. He chose a transmog from the latest raid tier in the heroic difficulty on a freshly boosted character and chose to farm a current expansion mount neither of us had. For those of you among us who don't play World of Warcraft, getting a full transmog set from a current heroic difficulty raid in one run is extremely unlikely, especially on a freshly boosted character. Loot is random, boss specific and limited per week, with intense competition due to group loot. Boosted characters are undergeared, inexperienced and often unwelcome in organized groups. They also can't trade loot, making funneling impossible. Without raid achievements, prior gear or a guild willing to help, chances of getting all these pieces in one run are near zero. Realistically, full transmog sets required multiple weekly runs, coordination, and a geared raid-ready character with loot trading potential and group support. Shin was asking this of two undergeared individuals who farmed mounts. Let's talk about the mount he chose. Shin chose a mount neither me nor Tiny had, so naturally, me and Tiny went to do some research on how to acquire it. We sent him guides, we told him how to proceed. I even told him how one of the add-ons he had, Zygor, could literally point to everywhere he had to go, tell him in-game instructions on how to get the mount, who to kill, and who to talk to. This did not stop him from excusing himself from the night and accusing us of not helping him and leaving him out. What the absolute fuck, besides logging in his account and farming the fucking mount for him, could we have done? But sadly that's not all when it comes to Tiny. Tiny, aka Tiny Art Goblin, is an artist and a sweetheart. If you met her, you'll know why the last one is important to mention. Art is a really big passion of hers, and sometimes this comes as her drawing someone she vibed with. When she met Shin, she made a drawing of him holding a cat. A drawing that he proceeded with fawning for over 15 uninterrupted minutes during a collab, repeating, "Aww, Tiny, it's so cute, I love it, look at it," over and over again for 15 uninterrupted minutes during a repo collab. But I digress. Through Shin, I eventually met Tiny, who I would slowly but surely get close to out of my sheer admiration for art and our mutual love for World of Warcraft mount farming. Tiny eventually felt like drawing a piece of me, and without my knowledge started doing so. She would eventually ask Shin for an opinion because she thought the two of us were close and he could help. So did I, Tiny. So did I. He made her stop doing the art piece. Guilt-tripped her by telling her that because she was doing an art piece of me, that he felt like he was just some random streamer and no longer special, because he wasn't the only one getting art anymore. Even worse, he implied that I might have seen it as Tiny just trying to get some promotion out of me. Damn, Skull, I hear you thinking. That's all pretty fucking bad. Surely, it can't get worse. Sadly, it did. And again, against me specifically. A couple of months back, Shin had gotten in a call with me and expressed how watching my numbers go up would upset him sometimes, even though he'd feel guilty about having these feelings. Both of us were mods in each other's channels. Something that felt natural and a no-brainer after all the collabs we did together along with our Oath of Brotherhood. He said, "Sometimes when I see you with a high amount of viewers and I click the button to see who's watching your stream, it only shows like 20 names when you actually have 27 or 30. I know that's not the case, but it puts the idea on my mind that you're inflating your number somehow." Take a note of the way he worded it. It made it seem like that wasn't something he actually believed in, so I told him that happens to everyone. Twitch isn't well known for its accurate measurements of who's in chat, and this is often showed by both of us being rated by someone with one viewer, only for 5 people to talk in our chat with a "Raider from X" on top of their name. He thanked me for the clarification, apologized again that the thought even crossed his mind, and we left it at that, or so I thought. Apparently, me inflating my numbers through illicit methods were something he brought up with at least 5 other people. I say at least 5 other people because after I confronted him about it, At first he lied and told me that he only told it to 2 other people. But when I told him that at least 4 people reached out / admitted to me that they were told that by him, he simply said he did not know how many people he told this to. During the following week after the confrontation, Shin became paranoid of who breached his trust and reached out to me about things he had told him in confidence. Amidst this, Shin pinned the blame on a 5th person that he had apparently remembered that he had told that I was inflating my numbers illicitly. Something that was fucking hilarious, because that one person, who was one of our mutuals, had told me absolutely nothing about him, but there he stands. The 5th person Shin allegedly told that I was inflating my numbers. Someone he remembered after telling me he did not know how many people he told this to. The way he said this to other people was disingenuous in itself. I did not actually reach out to the 5th person, I reached out to someone closer to them to inform them Shin was still up to his antics and talking shit about him. Besides that, the remaining 4 were unanimously told that Shin said that the only reason he's telling them this is because he'd worry about me. Again, shrouding himself from any harm or repercussion by shameless manipulation. Let's break all of the above down to the various manipulation tactics instigated by Shin here, what I think is a true look on the real ShinSkull. 1. Emotional guilt tripping. Watching my numbers go up would upset him sometimes, even though he'd feel guilty about having these feelings. Shin brings up his discomfort in a way that suggests he's being vulnerable, but he's actually introducing resentment masked as honesty. This puts me in a position where I have to soothe or justify myself for simply succeeding, making me feel guilty for doing well. 2. Implanting suspicion through concern. I know that's not the case, but it puts the idea on my mind that you're inflating your numbers somehow. Here, Shin floats an accusation under the guise of not actually believing it. This is also known as concern trolling. This plants doubts in others while shielding himself from direct accountability. I know that's not the case. This is plausible deniability. 3. Feigning resolution while acting otherwise. He thanked me for the clarification, apologized again that the thought even crossed his mind, and we left it at that. Shin pretended that he had no more doubts about this and that the issue was resolved, but he kept talking about this to other people behind my back. This gave me a false sense of closure, while Shin used this to subtly undermine and defame me to others. 4. Gaslighting and downplaying. After I confronted him about it, at first he lied and told me that he only told it to 2 other people, but when I told him that at least 4 people reached out / admitted to me that they were told that by him, he simply said he did not know how many people he told this to. Shin knowingly lies here, but when confronted pretends to forget or be uncertain even though future events prove he's always known who he told this to. This was a piss-poor attempt to erode my confidence in my own information or memory, a hallmark of gaslighting. 5. Scapegoating and shifting blame. Amidst this, Shin pinned the blame on a 5th person he had apparently remembered that he had told that I was inflating my numbers illicitly. Shin shifts the blame to the mythical 5th person here, someone who had not even reached out to me and that I was unaware they had been told that I inflate my numbers. This was another piss-poor attempt by him to deflect responsibility and avoid consequences by making the 5th person his new fall guy. 6. False altruism. I'm only saying this because I care. Shin said that the only reason he's telling them this is because he's worried about me. Here, Shin reaches out to people under the guise of a concerned brother, disguising malicious gossip and a blatant defamation of my character as concern. He did this to mask harm as care. This disarms the people Shin told this to and protects him from backlash. He uses I'm just worried as his moral shield. 7. Paranoia as a control mechanism. Shin became paranoid of who breached his trust and reached out to me about things that he had told them in confidence. Like what he's consistently did through all seen in this document and video, Shin turns himself into the victim here, and drives the focus on his betrayal, not the harm he caused. This redirects attention and sympathy towards himself, even though he instigated the problem. Anyone reading and watching this who knows Shin. Is this the ShinSkull you know? But I went ahead of myself again. Let's go back. Shin made this announcement, I made an announcement saying I wasn't leaving him, people reached out to me to tell me all of the above. That week sucks. No one asked me to do it, but I held it all in. I did it so Nora could heal. I did it so Queenie could heal. After all I was sent, it allowed Shin to heal as well, but I couldn't give less of a fuck. I was shattered. 5 months of my life making sure this person lacked nothing. 5 months promoting him, introducing him to people, calming him, being there for him, loving him. And what did I get in return? A rat. A fake. A poser. Someone who laughed with me. Someone who told me I mattered. Someone who convinced me they care for me. A brother. Who paid all of what I did and felt for him by not letting people come to my streams. Not letting people play video games with me. Not letting someone draw me. Someone who spread in the shadows that I didn't deserve what I worked hard for. What I streamed nearly every day for 1.5 years for. Had the people he told that I was inflating my numbers illegally took him any seriously, 5 people would tell it to another 5, which would then tell it to 10, then 20, and before I'd even know it, I'd be cancelled. Just another Google Doc on the internet with no idea how it all started. But I kept it all in, tearing me from the inside. All while I messaged Nora and Queenie to check up on them. This would all change on Friday. On the 2nd of May, it was the birthday of a dear friend of mine, and to celebrate it, she planned the repo collab. Since Shin had been a part of both of our friend circles, he was naturally invited to the collab. Through that week, I barely spoke with Shin. I couldn't. Knowing that he was still near me and I couldn't do anything about it was painful enough. I had spent all that week getting reached out to people to check on me because they noticed something was off. On that birthday party, I did my best to avoid Shin, but it was near impossible. Every time I heard him laugh. Every time I heard him call out to me with, "Brother?" All of those dug onto me like knives, and I couldn't hold it in any longer. So after an hour, I excused myself, ended stream, and sent the following message to Nora. Nora, I have to tell you something. It's literally been killing me not to. I've been drinking myself to sleep over the last week over it. Last week, after Shin made his announcement, I made my own. I said that I was gonna stick by him because he was my brother and that's what brothers do. I don't regret that announcement, it was the right thing to do. After I made it, however, a few of me and Shin's mutuals stepped forward. They started telling me things. How Shin apparently reached out to a few of them because they showed up on my chat after I started streaming. How when I hung out with them, Shin reached out to them that he was upset because he wasn't included, and he felt like they were replacing him with me because I was the bigger streamer. 4 people told me this, Nora, and the worst of it is that all they said clicked with a conversation I had with Shin last month. I know all these people weren't lying because Shin himself told me this. He told me he took glances on my stream and became upset when he saw people from his streams on mine. He told me how he felt like an opening act to me. He told me how it upset him when me and Tiny played World of Warcraft together because he had the feeling that she was giving me more attention than him. He's told me all of this. And now I'm here thinking that I'm a fucking idiot, that I've shown nothing but the best intentions, the best help that I can give to someone who can't fucking stand that I have a small amount of numbers over him. Numbers he apparently thinks I've attained through some illegitimate means. I wanted to think all these people were lying to me, but I couldn't. Every time these people told me something, it clicked with something Shin told me in private. Something they had no knowledge of. Nora then asked me if this would be easiest in a call, and I got in a call with her. In a 15-minute call, she told me how she knew of this. All of this. All Shin did towards me. How he gatekept me. How he guilt-tripped people from playing video games with me. How he had blatantly accused me to other people of inflating my numbers illicitly. She said she knew all of it and understood if I wanted to distance myself from him considering all I now know. I said yes. And she only asked me that she would be present, that she would decide when to do it, and that she'd be present in a call with him when we did it. I agreed. Side note, what Nora didn't tell me then is that the reason she knew all of that is because she's also guilty and had partaken in the behavior in question. As later on would be shown to me by Tiny, Nora would DM Tiny this one time where she was hanging out on my stream and guilt trip her about being active on my stream instead of Shin's, even though she was a mod there. The next day, Nora would reach out to me to check up on me. That day, she manipulated me in ways I didn't fully realize at the time. She positioned herself as my emotional support, offering comfort and concern when I was at my lowest, which made me feel like I could trust her completely. But as I opened up about how hurt and betrayed I felt, she subtly deflected the blame away from Shin, and instead reframed his actions as insecurity or feeling left out. She validated my emotions just enough to keep me engaged, then softened every accusation with excuses to protect him. At one point, she asks me if I could see me and Shin both recovering from this, if we shown genuine regret. When I asked her what would even constitute genuine regret amidst all of this, she attempts to defend Shin by implying how I left him out whenever we played video games. I told Nora how this was not the case, and that in fact, Shin would leave himself out, only to guilt trip us about it afterward. Here, I also mentioned how Tiny was drawing me, but Shin stopped her and asked Nora if she knew of it. She said she didn't, and when I expressed how broken I felt, she flipped it around and said, "How do you think I feel?" Turning my pain into a mirror for hers. She kept balancing between the two of us, acting like the neutral party, when really, she was trying to control the narrative. She never took a firm stance, even when she admitted what Shin did was slander. When I said I wanted to remove him, she delayed it. Said she needed to wait until her next day off or be alone, effectively halting any action while still seeming like she was on my side. Looking back, she kept me doubting myself, doubting my anger, and ultimately doubting my rights to act. It was subtle emotional manipulation that made me feel both hurt and paralyzed. So unsurprisingly, later in the conversation, when Nora told me she wanted to die and that she gave up, I folded like a napkin and came to a compromise with her that I wouldn't ban and block Shin. Amidst this, I came to an agreement with Nora that if Shin kept doing anything behind my back besides what he had already did, I would block, ban him, and move on. No more excuses. She agreed to this. Following days, I kept regularly messaging Nora to check up on her. I won't lie, I did this out of sheer guilt, way back when both of them would message me about their marital problems. I took as neutral of an approach as possible so that I may help both of them as much as I could. Through this, I ended up blaming both of them equally for their marital problems. This is because at the time, most of the feedback I was receiving of their marriage was from Shin. Shin's feedback on this marriage was that Nora was emotionless and abusive, blowing up when playing video games and yelling at him afterwards. Nora's attitude in this also didn't help. This is not me blaming her, as I know she was also being manipulated by Shin. But Nora would tell me that everything Shin said was true, and that she was a bad person who couldn't stand herself for what she did to Shin. So when we had conversations about their marriage, I divided the blame equally between them, completely unbeknownst that Shin, all throughout every conversation we had, was having an affair. After Shin came forward and announced he had an affair, I felt awful for putting any blame on Nora. So yes, I tried my best to take accountability for what I did by telling Nora that she could confide in me and we could face whatever came up together. It was the least I could have done for her, considering. Throughout those days, we did in fact confide in each other about things. I also attempted to commission her to draw a reference sheet on my character, something that took some time out of me to convince her that I wanted her to draw, because she has this defeatist view of her own art. Eventually, however, I did convince her that I wanted her to draw it, and even convinced her that I would pay her for it, even though she tried to do it for free. A few days ahead, I organized an art emporium, Skull's Art Bonporium. My reasons for this art emporium were because after all of the events, I wanted to do a soft rebranding of my channel, and I would slowly abandon video editing on the stead of something I had not revealed yet, that I would need good drawing skills for. On the first session of this, people suggested content creators to draw, and I suggested Nora because I wanted to do something nice for her. We spun a wheel of names, and Nora ended up being the chosen name, so all of us began drawing art of Nora. Art that she would receive afterwards for free, because the whole point of the Emporium was to shut down our brains and draw and improve our drawing skills. 2 days later, Nora DM'd me at 6:25 AM in a panic. "Skull, we need to talk, like now." I asked her if it was urgent, and if that would be something that's fast, since I only slept like 3 hours. The previous day, there was a birthday party and I was trying to recover from a nasty-ass hangover. She told me it was urgent, so I got out of bed, had some coffee, and put some clothes on. Nora then started a call with me and told me that her and Shin were getting death threats on Twitter. I asked her what she meant by that. She sent me screenshots of this user called Yuan Reyes, which had been followed by my wife and this other mutual friend of ours. I took a look at the death threats in question and, well, here, see for yourselves. None of these really come across as threats, so I didn't even bother waking my wife. But I did shoot a message to our mutual since he was also American, therefore probably awake. He was in fact awake, and after being explained the situation, he also got on a call with us. After some light investigation by our mutual, here's what we found out about Yuan Reyes. The profile had been made 1 day before Shin made his announcement that he cheated on Nora, the very same day that he broke up with Nora and Nora went to her parents. The profile had previously been one of those I only follow X profiles, which is how they garnered follows due to that whole trend being active during the time of the breakup. Soph was very clearly a throwaway account since it was made all that same day. Yuan's profile picture was of this Filipino woman's LinkedIn profile, who had like 20 different profiles with a slightly altered picture, like that one Asian lady's Facebook creepypasta. The whole reason why Nora interpreted this as a death threat was because the person's listed location was the same place Shin applied for a job, and her banner was of the football team of the location in question. Yuan happened to have mirrored the Twitter bio of our mutual in question, the same mutual who was in a call with us. He noted this by saying that they were using a hashtag that belonged to a tight-knit group of friends he was a part of. The mutual in our call made an announcement on this Discord server he has that Shin and Nora are a part of. After the announcement was made, Yuan allegedly purged her whole account. Once again, something incredibly out of the ordinary happens to Shin and makes him a victim, something that's very unlikely to happen all things considered. Let's break Yuan down. The account was created on the day Shin and Nora broke up, and before Shin made the announcement that he cheated on Nora. The account had access to information no one else but Shin and Nora had access to. After all, neither Shin nor Nora had told anyone where Shin applied for a job. The only thing they listed was that it was 1 hour away from them. In America. The account was purged after our mutual made this announcement on Discord. A Discord that both Shin and Nora are a part of. It's my belief that one of them made this and slipped up when it came to the location, something that no one but the two of them knew. I know this might seem like a stretch, but when me and Nora got into that call the moment I woke up, she told me they were getting death threats. Then, almost as quickly as she mentioned the death threats, she begged me to talk to Shin again. I told her, hell the fuck nah. I mentioned I was hungover. Then she also tried to get Queenie banned again, asking me why I wouldn't do it. I told her, considering all Shin's done to me, why the hell would I ban Queenie and allow Shin to be there? Why am I punishing Queenie exclusively here? She muttered a bit and then said, I genuinely can't answer you that. So apologies if I'm not completely convinced that yet again someone shows up out of nowhere to target Shin and make him a victim, and then as fast as they show up, disappears into the shadows again. Like every single other time this happened. A situation that Nora took immediately to use to ask me to talk to Shin again, and asked to ban Queenie in almost the same breath, after blatantly exaggerating that the situation was a death threat. But regardless of this happening, I proceeded with Skull's art Emporium, and eventually the day that me and other members finished Nora's art came around. We promptly sent Nora the drawings and she thanked me for it. 3 weeks after the whole fiasco went by. After realizing that every other party involved was dead set on having Queenie being the scapegoat of the whole situation, I did my best to hold on to my initial promise of ensuring everyone had their respective justice. So I reached out to Queenie and invited her to be one of my mods. Why? Because that's how I took accountability for promising her that she would also be done right by. Something I was always transparent about and I said I would be focusing on. To the point of warning everyone involved would be my focus going forward. Something everyone involved in this agreed to and claimed they had understood. Indirect quote of my initial announcement posted after Shin announced that he had cheated on Nora. I'm doing everything I can to help him take responsibility. To help those who've been hurt feel safe and supported. And to guide the situation towards healing all involved. There's been enough harm. So considering everything, considering no one else wanted to do right by Queenie, considering Nora's attempts at gatekeeping Queenie from my community, something her husband had also done, and considering the very obvious attempts at having Queenie be the scapegoat of this entire Shin orchestrated situation, I restored Queenie as mod and gave her a community to be part of. Queenie, I know it's not truly the spot you were on previously, but I hope with time it also becomes a community you can escape to in times of need. After Queenie became a mod, I noted how we now had close to the same number of mods we had prior to the whole fiasco, with one mod spot still empty due to an unrelated event where another mod of mine had been banned. In the same train of thought, I extended an invitation to Tiny, someone who I had become closer throughout all of this, and also has been wronged by Shin, as DMs of Shin trash-talking Tiny had also surfaced during the time people were coming forward with what we now know to be the true ShinSkull. Tiny accepted this and went on to confront Shin that same day. Both me and Tiny can guarantee that her becoming mod and her confronting Shin that day are completely unrelated, contrary to Shin's recent claims that someone has stole all his mods. Yes, Shin. Someone stole your mods. It wasn't your manipulative tactics, your blatant disrespect towards everyone around you, your many obvious lies, your shameless cash peddling, and the lack of a single shred of accountability for what you've done without the employment of some pity farm to make people feel sorry for you. It was someone. Later that day, Shin left my Discord. Here's a screenshot of the mod team's reaction. Right after Shin left my Discord, Nora sent me a DM at 9:36 PM that she would like to talk later. I asked what was up and she said, not now, later, not while you're in a VC with other people. Again, it was 9:36 PM, and I was getting tired of having our conversations be on their time whenever they felt like it with a complete disregard for my sleep. So 1 hour later I told her, by the way, when will we be having this conversation? I've been having some sleep troubles and ideally would like to have it before I go to sleep. Fine. If it's so time sensitive, then I'll get it all out now. Then she said the following. So I've been doing some thinking and I don't believe I can be part of your community anymore. I want you to hear what I have to say so that you have a reason for my departure, but the decision has already been made, so please don't try to fight it. I have been a subscriber of yours for 9 months now and have supported you as much as I can, but the fact that you won't remove Queenie from your community says a lot to me. She has rarely been in the community for a third of that, and quite frankly, I feel has not been there for you at all to the level that I have tried to be. But I'm the one getting punished. I don't understand why you were so quick to basically banish when he made Tiny uncomfortable, but you won't do the same for me. Queenie is a grown-ass woman who made her own choices and is not the victim that everyone pities her as. If you cared as much as you say you do, she'd be out of your chat. And now her and Tiny are your mods? Not cool, dude. But that being said, because I'm getting off topic, it also feels like I am only now getting attention from you after you have removed my husband from your circle of friends. I don't claim to know what your intentions are, but it feels extremely wrong that I suddenly get regular check-in messages and all of this art and my name on the tip of your tongue, after the person who spent all the time with that I introduced to you is gone. It doesn't feel genuine, I'm sorry. I'm tired of feeling like a pawn in some complicated fucking game. I am so tired, and maybe streaming to branch out into the world was a fucking mistake. Maybe this should be it. I am not going to make a fuss or anything. I don't want any more pain in my life than I've already fucking dealt with recently. I just want out. I get that I probably won't be able to interact with a lot of people because of this, and it will suck, but I've made my choice. Not cool, dude. Hey Nora, do you know what's not cool, dude? Saying that I could have said my piece and then asking me to leave you alone after I pointed out the disingenuity in a single one of your points. Saying that you were aware of all the things Shin did to me and putting yourself in a moral high ground when you knew full well you were also guilty of orchestrating some of the things he did to me yourself. Being aware that my intentions from the get-go were to ensure everyone was done right by, Queenie involved, trying to get her banned in my community and others in a shitty attempt to cover up for what your husband did. Cancelling and recommissioning Tiny over and over again, spitballing ideas but never deciding on something definitive, ensuring you took as much of Tiny's time as possible, making it so that many people on her waitlist cancelled commissions with her, only for you to cancel your commission with her as well and ask her for a refund, something that is very clear on her TOS. In his TOS lists, no refunds, especially for projects already started. Trying to use the fact that you're a subscriber of mine for 9 months as leverage for me to bend over your requests to ban Queenie, even though you're fully aware Queenie was kept away from my community since you were also keeping people away from my community. Questioning my intentions and integrity through the Art Emporium when all I wanted to do was do something nice for you. All of the above is not cool, dude. Also, how fucking dare you to question my intentions and integrity? You wouldn't be able to tell what disingenuous is if it laid in bed next to you, because surprise, Nora, it does and has done so for 6 years. Wow, that is 14,279 words. If you've read this far, pat yourself on the back. This took me like 20 days to compose. At this point, you're probably wondering why I did all of this. I did all of this because despite Shin's multiple threats that he was going to stop streaming and maybe it would be better for him to stop streaming, he carries on. Streaming, begging for money, lying and manipulating people. Hell, he put the fact he's having therapy on his schedule. I did all of this because I promoted him for 5 straight months, introduced him to my circle, and was basically kept as a sick trophy that him and only him could enjoy. I did all of this because it's important for my community and the world to know Shin. The real Shin. I did all of this because everyone he's wronged has been buried and unheard. These people have relied on me to tell the truth. These people sent me screenshots and recordings because they wanted me to tell the truth, to ensure their opinions and voices were heard. Shin, if you end up reading this and didn't just scroll all the way to the end, from the bottom of mine and all the people you've wronged's heart, fuck you! You suck! If there's a single shred of decency in your body, get a job. The internet's already had enough manipulators as it is, and the people you've wronged don't feel safe knowing you're around. Show this to your therapist! This next part is not gonna be in the document. It's gonna be something special for those of you who watched the video through to the end. In the previous month, I've had a face reveal. I did this because the one thing that Shin has over me, and has always had over me, is the fact that me and him know each other's faces. I trust in myself to not dox Shin, but I don't trust Shin to not dox me as a scorched earth tactic. Can't be doxed if I face reveal, so a while ago, I face revealed to my community. And I streamed, and funnily enough, people were open to it. That filled my heart that day. It was pretty nice. A lot of people even reached out to me to say that my real streams were a treat to see, and that they were happy that I began doing them. Regardless, the reason that I did it was because I refused to have anything that Shin can hold over me. So with that in mind, how's it going there, boners? There you go, here's your bone daddy. No secrets, no doxing, no surprises, nothing. I already told what I wanted by this video. What am I expecting? I'm expecting for him to come up with excuses. I'm expecting for one of them, Nora. I'm expecting for Nora to unblock me, reach out to me, say some shit like, oh, you're gonna regret this, or we're not gonna take this sitting. I'm not the one taking this sitting. All of you started this. All of you did this to me. All of you did this to us. They're not really well known for being people of reason. So expect an excuse document. Expect some screenshots on my end, on Twitter, out of them reaching out to me. Maybe, if we're lucky, expect a recording of a voice call with them. Because a lot of the things in the document don't really have concrete proof. Because a lot of the shit speaking were like in video calls. I would like to have recorded the video call of him telling me that he pretty much checked up on my numbers. But naturally I can't show you screenshots of that. Only a call. So from this point onwards, if I get a call from them, I have my OBS with quick binds. So I will be pressing the fuck out of that key. They will not catch me lacking again. Besides that, I'm expecting some of the supporters to be upset at me. It is what it is. I'm expecting to lose some followers because I know that they've done their song and dance and they've reached out to some people on their end and they've told them obviously stories on why the fuck I stopped showing. I'm expecting kicking some boners off the Graveyard Discord, honestly. Besides that, I've done all I had to do, whatever ends up happening. This is me, this is the truth. Bring it.